Hello guys and gals, it's me Mudahar, and I've tried recording this video a couple times, but we're going to try it again. Okay, I want to talk about Spencer, and I want to talk about the type of person that Spencer seems to be, and some of the things she's doing, and just kind of track on that for a bit. I'm going to show some of the leaks. I'm not going to dox anyone. I know a lot of these streamers were like blueballing people. They were like, oh, I have the full leaks, and but I'm not going to really show anything. Well, let me tell you what. I just went through all the leaks myself. There's not that much worth showing. I've got almost everything worth showing up here. You know, there's a couple little tidbits here and there, but nothing that major. You're not really missing out, alright? Let me just tell you that. I want to show a few interesting things, right? So, Spencer was known to be in this group chat, and this group chat, this club, this fan fiction club or whatever, revolved around this werewolf fan fiction, which is very similar sounding to the cult she is, accusing Camden of leading right now. Sounds very similar to it. Well, Spencer was known to be a divisive member. The group was divided. You had Spencer's camp and you had everybody else, right? And so this went on apparently for a while. And then finally Camden responds, right? And I'll kind of show this here. It says, "This is so insane. Dear everyone that's reading this foolishness, this is exactly what happened. These two young women were removed from a chat of people who were getting along and being civil. They always caused problems and issues, making assumptions with no foundation of proof. Once they were removed and peace was restored, and everyone had been happy since. I once dated Shelby, Spencer, ex-Locust Dance, and once I moved on, she became petty and angry at the fact that I no longer loved her the way I once did. I'd never hurt either of them. Then once it's supposed to be squashed and we go our separate ways, they decide to keep it going by messaging people's parents and irritating people to the point where I have to talk to these people and convince them not to press charges for harassment. It's truly unfortunate how they feel, but this is out of hand." Now, number one, is this the response that you would expect from like a normal guy or from a sex cult leader, from a werewolf sex cult leader, right? I'll just leave that for you to decide. Number two, we see that Spencer was a divisive member, always causing problems, according to Camden. Okay, number three, and this is a big one, right? This is a really big one. It says, "She became petty and angry at the fact that I no longer loved her the way I once did." Now, anyone who lives in the real world has met a jilted lover, has met a woman scorned, right? They've met a woman scorned. And sometimes these people can go on the warpath, man. They can be really destructive. They can be super destructive to someone's life. And it seems like this may be what's happening. Spencer has really went all out on this one, right? She's went balls to the wall, so to speak, right? And so she became angry that he no longer loved her. And so, this seems to have all started when she got rejected. So, according to Camden, that's an interesting fact to have in the back pocket, right? And then later on, this says, they decided to keep it going by messaging people's parents and irritating people. Now, Spencer had put out a video talking about, hey, Camden's mom, your son is this, your son is that, your son is the other thing, he's a sex cult leader, right? Imagine how absurd that would be if you were Camden's mom and seeing that, if you have a normalish son, right? I mean, that would just be absurd. It'd be totally absurd. And so, but the point is, she's bringing family into it. She's bringing unrelated, probably innocent parties into this, which kind of lends credibility to the jilted lover thing, right? It kind of lends credibility to who is really the one super in the wrong in this situation, right? And so, I'm not saying that Camden was some kind of saint of a boyfriend, some kind of great boyfriend, right? But, we have to keep our mind open and think about this stuff. It's like she's the one going way out of her way to get this stuff going, right? Okay, that's an interesting thing here. I want to show you an opinion from someone else in that group quickly. It says, I don't really know many of you guys, but I do know you guys are obsessed with friends or whatever with this psycho Cleo, or Shelby as I like to call her. This is talking about Spencer. Let me tell you a little something about Shelby. She is a liar. She is nothing but a liar. Now I can say this because I know her. I went to school with her. I was the reason she met Camden. She likes to claim that I raped her, fisted her till she bled and cried. All this BS that never happened. She also says that Cade raped me. But funny thing is, I was actually engaged to Cade, so if he did rape me, it would have been consensual. See, the thing about Shelby is that she is a manipulative liar, and this isn't over-exaggeration. Ask anyone who has ever actually met her. I share an ex with her, and even she agrees that Shelby is crazy. I'm sick and tired of seeing Shelby all over Ayla's friends and family's pages. So you can either tell her to stop immediately, or I'll tell her blah blah blah. So she's getting obsessive with this person's friends' pages and stuff. Spencer is. So, I mean, okay, if you watch the Red Pagan stream with Spencer, this is another interesting thing. Hopefully someone archives it, right? It was so obvious she was a liar. You know, Red Pagan would suggest something, and then it would become incorporated into the story. Like, one time Red Pagan brought up, well, does he specifically look for LGBT people? And Spencer was like, oh yes, he really liked getting LGBT people into the cult. And every time Red Pagan would bring something up, it was like, oh yeah, Spencer does, or Camden does this, Camden does that, whatever Red Pagan brought up. And so there's a funny moment in that stream. It got to the point where Red Pagan was like, well, it sounds like Camden was just making it up as he goes along. And when Red Pagan said that, Spencer had this little grin and was like this. Like, she had this, like, duper's delight thing going on. And it was interesting. It was kind of funny, I thought. But, you know, that does not lend credence to Spencer's reputation, I don't think. She's coming out here and throwing heavy, heavy bullets at Camden. And we have not seen any substantive proof, and there is not any substantive proof in these leaks. Let me just tell you that right now. There's one of the leaked things on here that I don't have brought up, but you don't really need it that much. It was Spencer contacting this person from a human trafficking place on Facebook and was like, hey, I sent you this and that. Did you do anything with it? Can you do anything with it? And she mentioned, well, the person at Trafficking 911 or whatever said, well, since it's not breaking the law, I can't really do anything. Well, what does that tell you, right? What does that tell you about their proof and what they've got, right? That doesn't speak well to it. And plus, back to the Red Pagan stream, the things she was saying was just so outlandish. Everybody that Spencer has met has raped her or sexually assaulted her or whatever. And it's like, look, you know, I'll be empathetic for a second. She said that stuff happened to her as a kid, right? Look, that messes people up. If something happened to you as a kid and you live in Georgia and you're dirt poor and all this stuff and you have a hard life, it's like, look, I can be compassionate toward that. I understand that can really mess your mind up. But there becomes a point where it's too much. You know, it just becomes too much. You can't go out here and start a public campaign with potentially hundreds, thousands, or millions of people being involved or seeing this when it's totally false just because you're mad that you got rejected, right? I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, I can have sympathy for a hard life. You know, I get it, believe me. And but that's too far, right? You can't give sympathy to that. And I think it's obvious if you watch the Red Pagan stream. It's pretty obvious that Spencer's a liar. She's full of it. And that's what the people who know her in real life are saying. It's what the people in this friend group are saying. It's what pretty much everyone seems to be saying that knows anything about her, really. And so, well, what else we got? We got the manipulative reputation, we got the outlandish lies, the making it up as she goes along. Here's something somewhat funny from the leaks, right? And these are on Spencer. Drum roll, please. You want to see this abuse, this horrible abuse that Spencer received, right? You want to see some proof of that? Well, here we go. That's one bruise. This is another bruise. Now, many of us who may be watching this video lived in the real world, right? We live in a world that is not perfect, that can be really tough, where abusive relationships do exist, okay? And, you know, if you know someone that's ever been beat, right, a woman that's ever had their husband beat them, these are not the type of bruises you see, okay? They're just not. And considering Spencer's reputation up to this point, as we've talked, okay, she's known as a liar, a manipulator. Now, these look like the kind of bruises that you get around the house. Am I right or am I right? Okay, these both look like the kind of bruises you get around the house. This is not some extreme beating, right? So, what if, just throwing this out there, hypothesis, I'm postulating, right? Postulating that Spencer may have gotten these bruises naturally in the house, whatever, and just said it was him. Just said it was Camden. Just thought, oh, this would be perfect too. You know, just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there. I think that is quite possibly what may be going on here. I mean, look at this. I mean, I'll leave that up to you, man. These claims that she's making are just like the fan fiction. If you go and read their little fan fiction thing, you know, she divided the friend group and all this stuff. Now, I'll show you a couple more things from the leaks before I end the video. I wanted to show more. Oh yeah, and I will read you the police report. I can't show it because I would probably get caught privacy complaint on YouTube. But let me show you this. Okay, this is one of the pictures of Camden and Spencer. Okay, does this not look like a young kid, like a really young guy, right? Do you expect me to believe that this guy is some kind of, like, you know, serial rapist, sex cult leader? You know, I get it. He, you know, for all I know, I wasn't there. You know, he could have raped people. He could be some kind of serial rapist. But to bring it up to the level of being like some horrific sex cult leader, I mean, he just looks so young. I'm not saying that proves anything, but I think it's worth taking into consideration. Like look at this guy. He's young. I mean, they're making this big deal about this guy that was what, like 17, 18, something like that when all this happened. I mean, when's the last time you heard of an 18-year-old cult leader? It's just a bunch of cringe is what it is. It's just simply a bunch of cringe. Now, one thing I found interesting, right, is in all these leaks and all these messages, you know, they're calling him Cade during this whole era on all of this stuff. And let me see if I can find it real quick. But they're, yeah, Cade. There's a bunch of other messages. Cade Damon. Spencer gets rejected here. But he's called Cade. And they got these pictures and he looks young, right? But then we have this mugshot, which is Camden Davis. And he looks different. I mean, to me, that doesn't look like the same guy. I mean, that makes me wonder, personally. Like, I don't know. One of the funny things about the police reports are that on his age, one of them says 216, and that he was born in 1800. First of all, the math doesn't work out there, right? But also, I'm pretty sure they said that he claimed to be like 216 years old or something because he's a werewolf or vampire or whatever. I found that to be pretty funny. But I'm going to show a couple more things on screen, and then I'm going to read out the police report. Now, they do have things like one person did go to the police and get a rape kit, but who knows how long after whatever happened, right? So there's a report that says, yes, there was a rape kit given. Okay, there's that. There's some medical records that says somebody got a pregnancy test and this and that, right? Nothing big enough to really show, you know. So here, the Pontius here is the leaker, which is the 2000 IQ leaker, right? Anyway, it says, I'm not blocked by Max. Want me to ask him questions? Slug says, nah. And she, you know, people freaking out, thinking it's Slug. And basically, he's trying to report Sin. Now, whatever you think of Sin, you know, I mean, he was showing a lot of these leaks too, and he got reported. So, who knows if this video will stay up very long, but I'm going to put up a picture of this bruise, right? Leave this bruise up here. And I'm going to read you guys the police report. Okay? It says, at approximately 12:38 hours, I responded to a rape call. Now, this is for another supposed victim, right? I responded to a rape call at such and such drive. Upon my arrival, I spoke with the complainant, victim, such and such. She said last night, between 22:30 and midnight, a friend of hers, Camden Davis, raped her. The incident, she said, lasted about 30 minutes, and she and Davis used to be boyfriend and girlfriend and had been intimate before when they were dating. She said they broke up about a year ago, and the decision to break up was mutual. Immediately after breaking up, Davis started dating such and such's best friend. She said that friend had not spoken to her since. Yesterday, she's told Davis she was dating someone, and Davis sounded very happy for her. And since such and such was in town, watching her parents' house at such and such drive, she invited him over to watch some TV on Friday. I accidentally clicked something here. Hang on. Dang it. Okay, here we go. She invited him over to watch some TV on Friday night. She said they had remained good friends since the breakup. He came over, and they were watching TV downstairs together. Such and such had to go upstairs to get her phone charger, and Davis followed her straight into the room. When they walked in, she said Davis immediately became aggressive. He pushed her down on her bed and began taking her clothes off of her. She said he forcibly held her down on the bed to commit the act. After he was done, she put on some shorts as fast as she could. Davis did not allow her to leave the room for a long time after the incident. He finally left the house around 01:30 hours. Such and such said she felt dirty and took a shower since the incident. Since the incident until the time she called the police, she took about 3 to 4 showers. There was a small visible bruise on such and such's upper right arm from the assault. My backup officer called a special victims unit detective. The bed in the bedroom was still much like it was when the rape occurred. Crime scene was called to come out and process the scene. Such and such showed my backup officer where she had put the clothes after she took them off. The SVU detective advised me to transport such and such to Northeast Georgia Medical Center to have a sexual assault kit run on her. So that answers that one question. While I was on the scene with such and such, waiting to hear from the SVU detective about where I was going to take her, I started talking to her about Davis. She said Davis believed himself to be a werewolf. He had started a group called the Arcade Moon Pact. She also stated if this whole incident went to trial, she was worried about Davis, his girlfriend, and his followers slash friends coming after her for revenge. She said he had about 40 to 50 followers. She did not know where Davis lived, but said the last she knew, his mom lived at such and such address. She did not have Davis's phone number because they had always talked online. Nothing further from this officer. Now, that's interesting. You know, it's still just an allegation. But it's the closest thing. I do think they took some of this evidence, like they took the sheet and the body pillow and stuff. So, yeah, one of the police reports talks about a body pillow. They took the sheet, the body pillow, and the clothes, I believe. And so, it's interesting. However, okay, this was reported, okay? They took all this evidence, and this was what it said just a few minutes after it happened. So there should be something, right? You would think that on her clothes, you would think that somehow there would be something. And, you know, she took a shower. I don't know how that affects rape kits, but you would think this would be the perfect scenario. If you got raped, called very shortly after, reported the rape, you would think this would be the perfect scenario that if it actually did happen, if there was some kind of proof, that they would take action. And they never did. So it's curious, you know, it's curious. This and to some extent Kai's allegations are like the most believable. Spencer, just her credibility is just totally shot to me. So, you know, there could be, who am I to say? I wasn't there, but it's interesting that the police didn't take this any further, right? You would think that if something happened, they would. But I just wanted to kind of share some of this stuff with you guys, and really I kind of wanted to share that police report and stuff, and like, you know, it's interesting. This person went by Cade, then this person goes by Camden, and they look like different people. I don't know. I'm not saying they are, but it's strange. I just wanted to throw some of these things out there and just kind of let that simmer, let it cook, so to speak. And if any of you guys are still watching, I appreciate it, man. I'll be uploading some more stuff. About what? I do not know. See ya.